Applications of system of linear equations. So for this problem, it says a community center sells coffee and tea. Coffee costs $2 per cup and tea costs $1.50 per cup. They sold a total of 100 cups and made $170. How many cups of coffee and how many cups of tea were sold? Okay, so coffee sells for $2 per cup and tea is for $1.50 per cup. So that means if you sell 2 cups of coffee, then you make $4. If you sell 10 cups of coffee, you make $20, right? So let's see then equals to the number of coffee sold. So if you want to find the dollar amount, you have to multiply C by 2. So if it's 10 coffee, you multiply 10 by 2, right? And T, the number of tea that are sold. So they sold a total of 100 cups. So that means the number of coffee plus the number of tea equal to 100, right? So if you take the amount of coffee, which is C, that was sold, plus the number of tea that were sold, let's use a different T, and we'll use the capital T here. Plus the number of tea that were sold, then that should be 100, right? Because C represents a number of coffee and T represents a number of tea. So whatever that number is, when you sum them together, you get 100 because 100 cups were sold. So the 100 cups means some of them were coffee and some of them were tea. How many is coffee? How many is tea? We don't know. That's what we're going to find out. We also know that it's $2 per cup. So you have to multiply 2 times C because C is the number of coffee. So to figure out how much dollars you make from coffee, you have to multiply by 2. Again, if you sell 10 cups of coffee, then you're going to make $20 because 10 times 2. And the same thing for tea, you have to multiply T by 1.5. And those dollars, right, this gives you dollars, right? 2 times C is going to be some dollar. Again, if C is 10, you're going to be $20. Is equal to $170. Right? So one equation involves the money, and the other equation involves just the total amount. So we just need to solve this system. And what's the question asked? How many cups of coffee and how many cups of tea were sold? Okay, so now we have to eliminate one of these variables. So let's try to eliminate the C, right? Because if we multiply C by -2, then the C we get eliminated. So we're going to multiply the first equation by -2. And in that case, we're trying to eliminate the C. So we're going to get a new equation, which is -2C when you distribute the 2, -2T when you multiply the 2 times, -2 times T. And then you have to multiply the -2 times 100. So that's equal -200. So now we're going to add these two equations together so we can cancel the C. So the C get canceled when you add them, you just get 0. And then for the T, you get -2 plus 1.5. That's going to be -0.5. T. And now 170 minus 200, that's going to be negative 30. So if we divide both sides by negative 0.5, so we want to cancel the negative 0.5 away from the T, and we divide this side also by negative 0.5. So this would say T is equal to a negative divided by a negative becomes positive, so we're going to get a positive number. And now we have to figure what's 0.5 divided into a 30. So if you want, you could, make it into a whole number. Like you could multiply top and bottom by 10 to get rid of the decimal. You don't have to, if you don't want to, you could just divide the 0.5. It's going to give you 60. But if you multiply top and bottom by 10, you end up with 300 over 5. Right? No decimal. This is if you don't like decimal. If you're perfectly fine dividing by 0.5, it just asking you how many 0.5s you could get out of 30, or how many halves you could get out of 30, well, you could get 60 halves out of 30. So T is equal to 60. Or if you take 300 divided by 5, you get 60. So there are 60 cups of tea. So now to figure how many cups of coffee, then you have to substitute the 60 in one of the equations above. So I'm going to substitute the 60 into the first equation. So C plus T, but T is 60, is equal to 100. So if you subtract 60 from both sides, this tells you how many cups of coffee were sold, and in this case, 40 cups of coffee. So 40 cups of coffee were sold and 60 cups of tea.